Let's talk about buildings for a second. We think of them as just brick and mortar, right? But what if a building could be more? What if every crack told a story and every echo held a memory? Well, today we're diving into the story of one such place in San Pedro. It's about how a derelict building is being brought back to life, not just with construction, but with love, with legacy, and a vision that's so powerful you can almost feel its heartbeat. This is the story of 363 West 6th Street. You know, this quote, it's really the heart of this whole thing. The idea that buildings, kind of like people, have their own stories. They have scars, they have memories, they have hopes, all baked into their very walls. And they'll share them, but only if we're willing to actually stop and listen for a minute. So, that's the big question, isn't it? If this old building could talk, what secrets would it share? What stories were just waiting in the dust to be rediscovered? It's like we're going on a journey back in time, having a conversation with the past to build a future. So yeah, let's find out, what did the ghosts of 1922 have to say? Okay, so here's where we meet Jennifer Wolfe, and her perspective changes everything. See, she's a therapist, so when she first walked into this building, she saw something that literally no one else could. She didn't see a ruin. She saw a patient with a soul, just waiting to be healed. And this right here is the key. She put on her professional lens and didn't just see decay. She saw something deeper. That water damage, the years of neglect, to her, those weren't just structural problems. No, they were wounds. They were scars. They told a story of abandonment. And man, this building has lived so many lives. I mean, think about it. It starts in 1922 as this bustling J.C. Penney. Then, fast forward to the 80s, it's a windowless call center. Then in the 2000s, it's a dance studio full of music and energy. But by 2020, the music stopped. It just fell silent. Every single one of those eras left its own mark, its own echo. So check this out. This really shows you the two ways of seeing this place. What most of us would see is a leaking roof, busted up walls, peeling paint, the stuff of a teardown. But Jennifer, she saw wounds, scars, echoes. And that dark, empty basement, that wasn't some creepy dungeon to her, no way. It was an incubator, just waiting for a new idea to be born. But look, this story is about way more than just a building. It's really about family. The whole vision for this project is anchored in the legacy of Jennifer's parents, Donna and Allan. They're the inspiration for everything that's about to happen. The project is actually called the Donn-Allan Experience, and this tells you why. You've got her mother, Donna, who was the lantern, a psychologist who believed empathy was a skill you could learn. And then you have her father, Allan, the spine, a heart doctor who went from healing hearts to funding dreams as a venture capitalist. They were two perfect, complementary forces. And this is the promise that sparked the whole thing. Jennifer made this vow at her parents' gravesite, which, and get this, overlooks the exact street where the building stands. So this wasn't just about flipping a property. It was about building a legacy worthy of their memory, right in their line of sight. All right, next section, a legacy for Nathan. Because the motivation wasn't only coming from the past. The birth of her son, Nathan, gave this project a whole new, urgent sense of purpose for the future. And this is the question that just hit Jennifer and her partner, Edwin, like a ton of bricks. It's a question a lot of us probably ask ourselves, right? After being together for 18 years, having a child really made them think, what are we actually leaving behind? They wanted to build something real, something their son could see and touch and understand that my parents were here, they built this. Of course, having a beautiful dream is one thing. Making it real? Oh, that was a whole other story. The demolition was an absolute trial by fire. I mean, they found hazardous wiring from the 50s, fire sprinklers that had been painted completely shut, and a budget that just exploded. The romance of the whole idea faded pretty quick under all that dust and despair. And it all led to this, the absolute rock bottom. You can almost hear that whisper, can't you? Jennifer and Edwin, sitting in the rubble, just completely defeated. The dream was over. She said the silence that followed that sentence was the scariest moment of her life. And then, just as they're about to give up, this happens. Their little boy Nathan just rides his scooter through the demolition zone, pats a scarred-up wall, and says these words. It was the turning point. All it took was the innocent belief of a child to make them pick up their tools and start again. Just incredible. Okay, so what did they end up building? Well, at the very heart of this resurrected building, down in that basement Jennifer saw as an incubator, is Voxel Micro Video Labs, and it's a space that has resilience baked right into its name. Okay, so the name Voxel is such a cool story. It was actually the name of a medical imaging company Jennifer's dad, Allan, started years ago. And you know what? It failed. But by bringing the name back, they're honoring his whole philosophy, that failure is never the final word. It's just a rough draft for success. And I just love this detail. They totally rejected the cold corporate vibe. So you're not going to find a Studio A here. Nope. You're going to record in a studio named after one of their 12 nieces and nephews or one of their 7 cats. It sends such a clear message. This is a place about people. It's about belonging. It's a place for anyone who's ever been told to be quiet to finally grab a mic and find their voice. And that brings us to our final section, a vow made of brick. Because the ultimate purpose of this whole project, it goes so far beyond just a business or a community space. It's something deeply, deeply personal. 6,570. Just let that number sink in. That's 18 years. For 18 years, Jennifer and Edwin built a life, they weathered every storm, and they proved their commitment to each other every single one of those days. And that number, well, it sets the stage for the final, beautiful reveal. You know, we think of the phoenix rising from the ashes as this solo act, but this story shows us that's not how it works. This isn't a story about a solo rebirth. It's about rising with your people, the family, the community, and the partner who stands right there with you in the ashes, making it all possible. And here it is. The grand opening in summer 2026 isn't just a grand opening. It's going to be Jennifer and Edwin's wedding. They realized they couldn't just get married in some rented hall. They had to build their own altar, an altar born from their own struggle and their own love. I mean, this whole building, it's basically their wedding ring. And that's really the question we're left with, isn't it? The story of 363 West 6th Street shows what's possible when a renovation becomes an act of love. It stops being just a space. It becomes a legacy, a vow, and a home for all the stories that are still waiting to be told.